I tell you this travel story about meeting up with an Instagram friend. And I love this story. I think this is a beautiful story, and it incorporates Dancing with Dora, which I started on Instagram. It's a Wednesday crazy dance where basically I just dance for shits and giggles, really, and for your amusement. So I've been doing that on Instagram for about 4 years. And in that process, I've made, lots of friends on Instagram. And I don't play there very much anymore, so I'd rather play on YouTube. I like YouTube. I now do that dance on Wednesdays on Instagram. Sorry, on YouTube, on Shorts, right? I still post it on Instagram, but I just do the same video on Shorts. But through the process, believe it or not, I've had friends actually want to dance with me. Now, they live overseas, so I'm not going overseas to meet up with them to do a dance. I'm not that rich, right? One day, Dora might get into that stage where people pay me to go travel overseas to dance with them. Wouldn't that be nice? That'd be hilarious. Anyway, let's put you in here first and let me tell you the story. I'm driving home, so I can't touch the phone. Oops. So, on Instagram, I meet this girl called Rachel. Rachel and I bond because she loves Australia. She originally was backpacking in Australia, and she met her husband. Beautiful story. Let me tell you their travel story, and then I'll go to tell you my travel story. So Rachel was backpacking around Australia, as you do, and she wanted to go up north. And she hired a car. Well, no, she bought a car, I think. Yeah, I think she actually bought a car. She bought a car, and she wanted to share the costs, right? Because, traveling up the east coast of Australia or traveling around Australia is expensive, right? It's not cheap. So if you can find someone to backpack with you or stay in, share the costs in your car, then, it's half price, right? The half the petrol. So I think she put a sign up at a backpacker hostel where she was staying at. And this guy said, "Yeah, sure, I'll go with you." Now, Rachel is actually from Guatemala originally, but she was living in the States. The guy that said, "Yeah, I'll travel with you," was from France, Paris actually. Ooh la la, Paris. So they started traveling around Australia. Well, they traveled up the east coast of Australia, and after a couple of weeks, they fell in love. It's such a beautiful story, right? I love those kind of stories. Hey, Gracie, how you going, Gracie? Yes, Paris. So they fell in love, and she went back to America. He went back to France, and they did the long distance for a while, and then they decided to make it work and try to live in. She lived in Paris. Anyway, she's been there for 12 years now, and they've been married for about 10 years, I believe. They just celebrated their anniversary. So we became friends on Instagram, right? Because she loves Australia, I'm Australian, right? Now, she also likes to dance, right? She's a Zumba teacher. Gracie, this is a great story that you're going to hear, a travel story about dancing, because I know you love dancing, right? So Rachel loves dancing. I love dancing, but she loves Zumba particularly because she's a Zumba teacher. And she sends me a video one day. She goes, "Hey, here's my dance. Learn this dance." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, righto." So I have a look at this dance, and it's Zumba moves, and I'm not really a Zumba dancer, but hey, I'm a friend, right? So I do the Zumba dance, and I film myself doing it, and then I stitch it together and present it on Instagram at Dancing with Dora Wednesday. And all our friends just pissed themselves laughing. They thought it was so funny, and it was, I made it funny, right? Like, I always shit on myself. I don't shit on my friends that dance, right? That's, let them, I'm happy for people to laugh at me. So it was pretty funny. I have shared that since on YouTube. But anyway, from that we've become really good friends. And on Instagram it's great because you can actually voice note each other and you can actually DM each other. Where in Instagram you can't do that. which is not a bad thing because otherwise you'd have so many people Instagramming you, like messaging you. It could be a bit chaotic, right? So anyway, we became pretty good friends, and she actually introduced me to, believe it or not, another Mutiara. So obviously, Gracie, think you know that my name is not Dora. Hey, it's a nickname. So Dora is my nickname. I've told that why on another dance, Spilling the Tea. So there is a playlist called Spilling the Tea, and you'll find where in there about my name. I think I've done that one. Have I? I don't know. I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah. So you know that. Okay. So let me just make sure. So she introduces me to, she goes, I know another Mutiara. I'm like, really? So I've actually never officially met another Mutiara before. I know it's a name, like in Indonesia, Mutiara means pearl. So my mum is Indonesian. So, but I've never officially met another Mutiara. I know that people are called Mutiara, but I've never met one, right? So she goes, I know another Mutiara, and she lives in Australia. I'm like, really? Wow, okay. So she connects us on Instagram, and she lives in Toowoomba, which is like about 2-3 hours away from where I live. I'm like, oh wow, that is really cool. So we make friends on Instagram. She's not that active. So sorry, Gracie, I can't actually read the chat because I'm driving. And when you do horizontal lives, the the actual chat disappears really fast. So it's very short and sweet. I can see it, but if it's a big paragraph, I can't see it. Plus, I'm supposed to be driving. So um, when I stop, I can read it later on. So anyway, she lives 3 hours away. We become friends. She's not that active on Instagram, but we're still friends. Like I'll post something, she'll like, that's cute. Um, but on Instagram, my name is Explorer Dora 80, so everyone calls me Dora, right? So she calls me Dora, even though her name is Mutiara. So if we're talking to each other in the chat, I'll go, oh, that's great, Mutiara, and she'll go, oh, that's great, Dora. So she always calls me Dora, even though my name is Mutiara, and I always call her Mutiara. So it's very, very weird calling someone Mutiara because I'm Mutiara, right? So anyway, one day I'm up in Cairns. And what was I doing? I was just having a holiday, right? Up in Cairns. We're doing a house sit actually. And I post on my Instagram stories that I'm in Cairns. And Mutiara sends me a message and she goes, guess what? I'm in Cairns. I'm like, are you serious? She's like, yeah. I said, let's meet up. I mean, like she lives 3 hours away from me. That's a bit hard to meet up. But if we're both in Cairns, why don't we meet up? I'm like, yeah. I know I am trying to tell a story about another friend in Paris. I get there, okay? I get there. So anyway, we meet up and it's awesome. I'm actually meeting another Mutiara. She's like, hey, Dora. I'm like, hey, Mutiara, how you going? So it was very, very weird. And then her partner at the time, she introduces me, goes, oh, this is Dora. She goes, but her real name is Mutiara. And he goes, oh, really? Wow. Even though she's Indonesian, she's met people with the name Mutiara before. So this is not unique for her. Very unique for me, right? So anyway, we catch up. We get a photo together. I tried to get her to dance with me, but she wouldn't dance. Damn it, right? But while we were together, we rang Rachel, and because Rachel hooked us up, right? She introduced us. She didn't answer the phone, unfortunately, but we're like, hey, Rach, we met up. We've got to dance soon together, Anyway, left it at that. About 2 years later, last year, I get invited to a wedding in Lyon, which is not too far away from Paris. So I decided to go to Paris. I mean, I fly into Paris straight to Lyon, but I was going to spend a week in Paris, right? And I sent a message to Rachel going, hey, guess what? I'm coming to Paris. She's like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, we've got to meet up, right? So she's like got all these ideas. She's like, oh my God, we've got to dance together. I said, I know, we have to do a dance. And I was having a giggle saying, we have to do the dance, the Zumba dance. And look, I can hardly remember the Zumba dance, but I kind of remember a few moves. And there's a particular song, right? So anyway, we organised a meet up. We have the best day, like the best day. Like, I love Paris. I am going to live in Paris one day for 3 months. That is my goal. Put it out to the universe already. It's going to happen one day. Gracie, I'm going to Paris. Have you been in Paris, Gracie? I love Paris. I just want to walk the streets, drink wine in little fancy bars and just, see how Parisian people live. So anyway, I'm in Paris. I have the best day out. We walk the streets. We have a picnic together in a beautiful park. There's wine, there's cheese, there's croissants. Um, I bring her. She wanted Tim Tams. She said, "Kay, can you bring me Tim Tams?" So I brought her some Tim Tams because that was her favourite thing from Australia was Tim Tams. And she didn't want Vegemite, believe it or not. She didn't want Vegemite. But anyway, we're sitting in the park. We do some painting together because I love painting. And so I paint on one page, she paints on the other page, and we have so much fun. And we're just having a giggle, a laugh. And then she says to me, "We've got to do this dance." I'm like, "Of course, we have to do the dance." But I don't want to push myself on people, right? Like, sometimes people say they want to dance, but they don't really want to dance. I don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. So she said to me, "We've got to do a dance." I'm like, "Let's do it." So anyway, we do this dance, and we're like thinking, like, how are we going to do this? I'm like, "Okay, I've got an idea." I said, "How about I start doing the dance that I did years ago with her, and she's not in the frame, and then suddenly I'm like tripping over my feet, like I can't remember the moves, and then suddenly Rachel jumps in and goes, 'I know the moves,' and I'm like, 'Oh my god, it's Rachel!'" So anyway, we do this skit, and it's hilarious. So of course I edited it together and put it out on Instagram, and it was so much fun. It was like about 4 years between those two dances. So the first dance was obviously a virtual dance, and then 4 years later we actually meet in real life in Paris, and we do the same dance, and we had such a ball. And funnily enough, we actually have another dance I've got to edit together. I have to message her actually, because the dance is Britney Spears. I think it's Work It, Bitch, or something like that. I don't know, one of the Britney Spears dances. Not a dance, but like a song. And yeah, I have to do that. Anyway, that's my travel story. How I met an Instagram friend, virtually, originally on Instagram, like doing a dance together, and then literally 4 years later, we actually met up and we did the same day. Technically, we're strangers, right? But I know it was so much fun meeting you one day. I definitely think that when I meet up with Susan well, obviously she's not in Melbourne, but I will organise to meet up with you too. I'm sure Nicholas, I'll have to meet up with Nicholas too. Obviously going to meet up with Paul D Australia again. He's down in Phillip Island. But, oh, it's buffing. Okay. Buffing. So yeah, Gracie, we'll be doing a dance together. I know I won't have to beg you to dance with me, right? You'll just dance with me. So anyway, that was my spilling the tea on, meeting an Instagram friend and meeting up in Paris. I absolutely love that story. I told it the other day while I was walking along the beach, and I thought, you know what, I need to do that for a spilling the tea and keep that, because when I do lives on the beach, all the content in there just gets buried, right? Because I do so many lives on the beach. So I actually have a playlist called Spilling the Tea where I tell travel stories. So check out the playlist if you're watching this on a replay. And I think there's about, I don't know, 15 of them now. But now that I'm driving, I can't touch the phone. So I'm just going to be stuck here talking to you. I can't really see the chat though, I'm going to be honest. It's getting dark, so I've got to concentrate on the road too. So you don't need to keep me company, Gracie. I'll just talk to myself. But how's your back, mate? I can read yes or no. How was your back? Is your back okay? Not your back, sorry, your knees, your legs. How are you feeling? The pain? I know the other day you were really in pain. So Marie, if you're watching this on a replay, I hope you like my spilling the tea. Is that Gracie or Nicholas? Is Nicholas there? Is Nicholas there? Yes or no? Is it Gracie by herself? Just me. Okay, it's just Gracie. Cool. For some reason, I thought I saw Nicholas's full name there. His logo looks very similar to yours. Gracie, no Nicholas. Okay, just you and me, Gracie. What did you get up to today, mate? Did you get up too much today? Are you able to work, Gracie? Do you work? Ugh. Spilling the tea and coughing it up, literally. Love. I've retired. No, not retired. Not retired or am retired. I completely missed that. Sorry. It's really interesting. I don't know why on the horizontal lives the chat just disappears. Love? What does that mean? Love, live. You have retired. Okay. Good-o. Okay. So what do you get up to today, Gracie? What does one do on their retirement days? And I know, obviously, obviously, because of your legs, your sore knees and stuff, you know, I'm sure you'd be doing a lot more, right? If you weren't. But right now, with your legs, I'm sure it's hard for you. And I'm guessing, I don't know, has arthritis kicked in with it also? Back in 2017, you retired. I'm thinking that. Is that what you meant? Mate, you retired quite young. Oh, something about disability. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Okay, getcha. So, did the government send you to an employment agency to get help to find a work with your disability, or you were permanently put on DSP? So then you don't actually have to work. Sorry if I'm asking really questions. Mental health? No, you're not on disability. No, you didn't have to go to an employment agency. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. DSP. Okay, fair enough. I get you. Yeah. Oh, shit. I just literally spilled tea all over myself. Crap. Whoops. Lucky it's the end of the day. Whoops. I told you, this is about spilling the tea. I always spill tea over myself. Oh, well. The good thing about tea, it just dries, right? It doesn't matter. And it's not that hot now. I mean, it's still kind of hot, but not that hot. So I'm kind of stuck in a bit of peak hour traffic. It's not that bad, though. Oh. So I used to work for employment agencies where if you're on DSP, I could help you get a job. You'd be voluntary because you don't actually have to work when you're on DSP. But if you're under 35, you actually have to work. You have to try to want to work, and I have to try to make you get a job. It's very hard. But I wasn't too bad at it. I helped quite a few people, even with anxiety and depression and mental health. Yeah, I had some good successes out of it. Also had some bad luck with it too, but not bad luck, but I tried to help as many people as I could. Sometimes I just couldn't help people. It was hard, but everyone deserves a job, right? I just think, mentally it's really good for us. There's actually a statistic. So I used to work with a lot of people with mental illness, and there's a statistic saying that if you help people get a job, it can actually help your mental health. So there was a big push probably about 10 years ago to help a lot of people with mental health get work. Obviously, you have to find really supportive employers. Actually, the most successful one I've done, he's still employed, right? I still see him quite a lot. So I'm not going to name names, right? But he told me, obviously, when you're in an employment agency, what condition they have, and he had a form of bipolar. And he said, look, I have good days and I have bad days, right? And, when they're good, I'm good. When I'm bad, I'm bad. He goes, I just need to find a supportive employer that will, be accommodating. Because, like, I can't change my downs, right? I don't know when they're going to happen. And when they happen, it is what it is, right? And he goes, I've lost so many jobs. He goes, I've got great customer service. I can make coffees. I'm a great barista, right? I love making coffees. But, most coffee are here, then you're not got a job, right? So he wouldn't, and eventually they would just fire him, which is really, really sad. So I kind of said to him, hey, we have to be honest, because otherwise you're just going to lose another job. What's the use, right? And like when you lose a job, it's so heartbreaking, right? So I just got lucky. I had some nice friends that I knew that own a coffee shop, and I told them, I said, look, this guy's got bipolar, and do you know much about bipolar? Because a lot of people think that bipolar, you're like crazy. I'm like, not necessarily, right? I'm crazy, and I don't have a diagnosis. I said it just means that they're medicated, and then sometimes going to be high, and sometimes they're going to be low. And I said, for coffee making, it's pretty good that they're high because they're always going to be having chat, right? But obviously, when they're low, they're not going to be at work. So anyway, I introduced them, and he did a trial, and they said, oh my God, he's a great guy. And I'm like, he's awesome. I said, but the problem is, what you see right now might be 80% of the time, and 20% of the time he's going to start, have that low. And they're like, okay, well, what do we do when he's low? I said, well, you'll have to hire, someone else will have to work his shifts. And they're like, okay, brilliant. Anyway, sure enough, I think he worked for about 3 months brilliantly. They absolutely adored him. And then he rang them one day and said, hey, I'm having a low. And I said, that's right. Let us know. Let us know when you're going to be better, because they didn't know. I don't know. We didn't know how long he's going to be low for, right? And I think it was about 3 or 4 days. And then he went back to work. And he was right as rain. But the biggest thing, because he wasn't stressed out about losing his job, because his employers were so happy, like they were so happy with him, they were understanding. Because like when when you're suffering that low and you're like, oh my God, I have to get back to work, you're stressed about having to go back to work, so you're not actually getting better, right? So it was such a beautiful placement. Like, it's probably my best placement I've ever done. Like, I've placed so many people into work, but that was for me the pinnacle of my career, if that makes any sense, of like trying to help someone get a job. He's a brilliant guy. They're a brilliant employer. He does a great job, and he's still there. I got him a job around the pandemic, the pandemic was when? What, 2019? He's been there for 7 years. 7 years he's been working there. I can't tell you how many times he's had to have time off, but he's still there, right? And I'm super proud of that. Like, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of the jobs that I found people jobs for, I'm not proud of. Not that I'm not proud of, but like, I feel a little dirty. Sorry, I'm just having a chat now, guys. But like, I feel like the industry of pushing people into work is a bit dirty. Like, I understand that people get money from the government, and the government are trying to get people to get jobs because it's better for their mental health. Even if they haven't got mental health, like people that are just like, they have a condition like a health condition, and they're not been working for like 6 months, they're depressed, right? So, but anyway, when you're working for these employment agencies, I'm pushed to get people work. Like, I've got to get 2 people a job a month, or I get fired. So we're under pressure to get people jobs, right? And sometimes we're pushing our clients to get jobs, to push them into a job they don't want. And I've done that before, because I needed to get them in placed, and they were perfect for the job, but mentally they just couldn't see themselves doing it. So sometimes I had to, like, push, not in a nice way, not nastily, right? But I'd have to push someone to, look, come on, just go to work, right? Sounds terrible, but I didn't mean it like that. But like I had one girl, again, won't name names. She was working at Telstra at one of the cool, like the shops in the shopping centres, and she had extreme. I think she actually had a borderline personality issue kind of thing too. Not issue, but like borderline personality. But she suffered like that. Well, that was controlled. She was actually really good, medication controlled. But what she did suffer was really bad panic attacks. So, of course, going for a job interview, she vomited before she went for the job interview. She got the job interview. She went to the job interview, got the job. It's awesome. But I had to push her to keep on going. Like, I felt bad because I knew it was making her sick. But I knew if she pushed through it, she'd get there. And of course, she did push through. She started. She was doing 15 hours a week. She's there for about a year, I reckon. Then I don't know what happened. I didn't work in that job anymore for a while, so I don't know what happened. But yeah, sometimes you can't help everyone, right? It is what it is. But I didn't feel good about that, like because I was pushing someone to do something that she wanted to do it. This is the point, right? She did not want to do it. She wanted to work. On Centrelink benefits, there's not a lot of money, right? On disability payments, you get obviously a higher rate, but on New Start allowance or the dole, it's not much money. You have to work. So she wanted to work, but it was obviously making her sick. That made me sick, that I was making someone sick to go to work. But we got there. She got there, and she loved it. Had so much fun at work. She had she loved working with the other Telstra people. It was amazing. Sometimes I think like, would I go? Well, I'd like to go back to that job because I like it. I mean, I'm good at it. I love cold calling. I love talking to employers. Let me tell you, while I'm here telling the story, um, this is a crazy story, right? Again, can't name names, but this guy, he was a Vietnamese guy. He didn't speak English that great, but I could understand him, right? And he was like, he'd worked in factories, right, in Vietnam, and he was about 30, but he had schizophrenia. I think he might have got on the drugs and burn his brain kind of thing. He was medicated, and I had a soft spot for him because I just thought he's a good kid, right? He's a good kid. He just needs someone to help him, right? I'm half Asian, right? I understand people can't speak English. I'm born in Australia, so I can speak English, right? But I understand it. Like when you don't speak the English well, people can be really discriminative, right? And again, he has schizophrenia, and I know I felt really sorry for him. So I really helped this kid, and I found him lots of jobs. He fell out of the jobs all the time because of different reasons. But there was this one time I got him a job at a pool shop. It was a pool warehouse. And I told them fully transparently, he has schizophrenia. And I know as soon as he mentions schizophrenia, people freak out. I'm like, don't freak out. He's medicated. He's not going to go AWOL. He's on his medication. He's good. He's a good kid, right? I said, he just needs an opportunity, right? You have all these jobs. You desperate for part staff. He's got warehousing skills. Bloody hell, try him out. And they met him and they liked him and they hired him. And things were going well until they didn't go well. And you know why they didn't go well? He stopped taking his medication. So I get a phone call one day and they go, hey, so-and-so, something's up. Something's up with him. Now, just keep in mind, I am not a mental health practitioner, right? Like, I have no experience with, like, severe mental health. All I have is, like, I help people get jobs, right? And I've done, mental health courses and, mental health first aid courses and those kind of things. But, like, I have no clinical, thing. So they ring me and they go, hey, look, he's at work. He's not in a good place. And I'm like, crap. And, like, I've got him the job. So I'm, like, a bit worried going, shit. So anyway, I go there and I'm not sure what to expect, right? But I have to go because, like, crap, what do I do? And I spoke to my boss. I'm like, hey, what the hell? What do I do? Because, like, I don't think he's not gone schizo, right? Because if he is, I have to call the police or something, right? But, I was just a bit worried. So I thought, you know what, just go. And my boss said, look, go there, have a chat. If he's in a really bad place, you're going to have to ring the police, right? Because you can't have him have an issue at work or hurting himself or hurting you. So anyway, I go there. He's already left. So I'm like, what? He goes, they said, I don't know where he's gone. He's not here. I'm like, shit. He didn't say goodbye to anyone. So I'm like, that's really not cool. So they've all looked around the place. He's not in the toilets, he's not in the kitchen. He's nowhere in the warehouse. So I'm starting to panic going, oh no, what's happened? Like, I'm feeling really bad. Like, not bad. It's not my fault, right? But I'm like, this poor kid, where the hell is he? You know, I'm a bit worried, right? You know, when you see, you know, when you help someone get a job, you're invested, right? And like, I don't have children, so I guess they're kind of like my children in ways, but I can give them back. But so anyway, I've literally, I mean, people will say that I go beyond my job, but I'm driving the streets. I know where he lives, right? So I'm driving the streets from where the pool shop is to where his house is, thinking, okay, he doesn't drive, so he'd be catching the bus or he'd be walking. It'd be a long walk, but you know, anyway. So I'm walking the streets. I see him. He's nearly near his house. So I'm like, crap. What do I do here? So and you know, everyone will handle this in a different way. But you know, I was invested. I was worried about this kid, right? So I parked the car and I walked towards him because I thought, okay, if I walk towards him and he's like, you know, yabbering away or he's not in a good place, I can just keep on walking, I guess. Um, But I guess in the moment, I was just like, I just need to do something, right? So, and his mum and dad spoke no English. This is another thing. His mum and dad spoke no English, so I couldn't exactly ring up his mum and dad and go, hey, come sort your son out. They didn't speak any English at all. He had a sister that spoke really good English, and I'm on the phone to his sister saying, hey, I've just found him. Because I rang his sister and said, hey, I don't know what's going on. Your brother's like, something's happened at work. He's not on his medication. So can you get hold of your parents? We need to find him. Um, so I'm on the phone to his sister. I go, hey, I've just found him. I had her on loudspeaker because I thought, you know what, maybe he needs to hear her voice. So I've got her on loudspeaker. I pull up, you know, I'm walking towards him and I'm like, hey, you know, so and so. Okay, are you okay? And he's like, yeah. I said, you finished work early? He goes, yeah. And I thought, you know what, don't push it. I said, okay. And I could see, like, we were really close to his house because I wanted to make sure that he got home right. Because that's, you know, that's kind of my requirement, like, just to make sure that he's okay, you know, technically. So I'm like, you know, again, I'm not a mental health practitioner, so I don't know what to say here. I'm just saying, hey, I think you need to go home. Your sister's on the phone, and she talked to him in Vietnamese, and she said, you know, you go home. It was like 2 houses away by this stage, and his parents were at home, so they were going to obviously talk to him and make sure that he started taking medication. And then I didn't see him for about a month, and when I saw him again, he was medicated, but unfortunately lost his job. The workplace obviously thought, you know, that's a bit too much for us. But you know, he didn't do anything, you know, dangerous or anything like that. But he just was acting weird at work. That's what they said. He's acting weird. So, but anyway, but look, end of the day, I'm glad they called me because you know I'd hate to have seen him like, you know, walk in front of a bus or something on the road. I don't think he was in that case, in like that stage, but hope, you know, thankfully he started taking his medication. But yeah, that was a sad story for me, and ever since then, I was not that I was weirded out. I still tried to help him get a job. I'm gonna be honest, I still kept on trying to help him get a job because again, we all deserve jobs, right? But the point was he needed to be he had to take his medication. So I would talk to him and go, hey, have you taken your medication? He goes, oh yeah. I'm like, okay, good, that's good. I said, because you know what happened last time when you didn't take your medication. So yeah, but that that story would have been now about, oh wow, I reckon that's about 10 years ago. And I often think, I drive past his house and wonder if he's still, you know, if he's still living there. Is he okay? It's not appropriate that I stop and say hello, right? And I don't have his phone number, obviously. But yeah, I do think, I'm surprised I haven't ran into him, to be honest. But yeah, I've never ran into him. I'd like to say that, I'd hope he's okay, but, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, but that's me spilling my tea. I'm home. Thanks for hanging out. Let me just go back and see if I look cross-eyed here. Sorry, I can't really see the chat now. Now I'm really cross-eyed. Hello there, studio. Oh, Firebrick Studio. Hey, Wayne, how you going? Dangerous. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, look, I'm going to go. I literally was just talking about a travel story, spilling the tea. Spilling the tea. I did actually spill tea over myself. I mean, shock horror. But guys, I'm going. That's the end of my day, guys. Work is done. Thanks for listening. Look after yourself, Gracie. Gracie, good morning. Wayne from Fabric Studio. And if you're watching this still this far down, someone in the background, thank you. If you're watching this on a replay, thank you. Bye.